Hey guys, Tyro here, bringing you some GCS2 action. This is round 1 between CreativeName and Refero. Refero, one of the only 2 players actually playing as Brits in this tournament, so I wanted to have a look, see what his strategies were. What is this? What did he do here? Treating a squad of pioneers. I don't know what he's up to over there, but must have been a misclick. Anyway, slightly bad start there for Refero in the back of that. Not going for a machine gun, which is kind of unusual. Going for 2 pioneers instead. I feel like machine guns are pretty strong against US forces. And a rifle squad running straight towards the fuel point here. Pioneers behind cover. Hoffman should still win this one though. Now Pioneers closing in on the other side. Pioneers took quite a lot of damage on approach there. Yeah, and now they're down to 2 models, so I don't think they're going to be able to beat the re-echelons. If they held on to 3 models for a bit longer, they would have been able to do it. That's how the engagements go sometimes. Anyway, Greedy dispensed, and because he stuck around keeping that Pioneer there for maximum duration to do maximum damage to his rifle squad, this one's now quite powerless, but in comes a fresh squad. Going for the fuel once again. Seems to be a lot more common players in the early stages of the game coming straight over to these respective fuels, from the north onto this one, from the south onto this one in the early game. Seems to be a lot more common nowadays. Especially if you're like one of the aggressive factions like USF or OKW. But I've seen it done with Soviets as well. Don't know if I've seen it done with Ost. There has been bleeding quite a lot of manpower from his squads already. Let's get 7 units lost. CreativeName on the other hand, capping up his side of the map now. Looks like he's going to connect his fuel first. So he's got a slight fuel edge, it seems. Also got slightly better control of standard territory sectors. So a slight edge to this point for CreativeName. Perhaps if Refero, didn't accidentally retreat those Pioneers, he'd be in a slightly better position. But either way, 2 Pioneers in the early game is tough. It's tough to make work. Especially when you're not getting a machine gun. Because that way you can't even use Pioneer's strong line of sight to spot troops and set your machine gun up correctly. It was at one point, strategy with multiple Pioneers in sprint, which is quite strong, mainly against the Brits, but decent against other factions as well, but it's not what we're seeing here. Both players quite late to connect their munitions points. Doesn't really matter too much though, already got about 36 coming in. Pretty high munitions map this one. And that's actually going to be a pretty fast lieutenant for CreativeName there. When you go 3 rifles into lieutenant, it makes me think he's probably going to go for the M20, but if he was going for the M20, he'd probably be in production right now. He's going for a 50 cal instead.
Our supply line just got cut off.
So yeah, I think a pretty strong start for CreativeName here. But Mal with the flamethrower, and he's a lot more threatening. Coming around on the flank as the lieutenant, going to chase away this Grenadier pretty easily. Just Barr and Thompson going to work. So we saw a brief territory neutralize on that side as well. Quite a lot of low health squads now for CreativeName. Oh, ambulance in sight. Maybe he's gone for the AA half track now. Yep, there it comes. Right on time as well, as soon as he had the manpower. Looks like he might have even delayed reinforcing his squads so he could get that out a little bit more rapidly. 222 coming in for Refero now as well, as soon as he had the fuel. Generally you want the 222 to hit the field probably like a good 30 seconds before the AA half track, so that shows CreativeName's strong map control up to this point. He runs out, drops a model, has to retreat. It's the impact of not having medics yet. The squad's coming over here. Trying to get rid of this flamethrower. It's double flamers for Refero. He's up against US forces, not feeling threatened by the mines. However, CreativeName has gone heavy cavalry, so we'll have access to the rifleman mines. Refero pops off the rifle grenade, unsuccessful, and here comes the A half track, getting towards where the 222 is. The last patch we know that the 222 is now quite a lot stronger against infantry. Oh, but it's taking a walloping from the A half track. What? Oh, he's too busy trying to steal this 50 cal, which has got decrewed. A half track moving around there now to try decrew it once more. Can he knock it out? Looks like he's going to take a Faust. Can't continue the chase, so trading a 222 for the 50 cal. I mean, I suppose it's like a reasonable trade. Still, it means that once this is repaired, this A half track is going to experience a pretty decent period of dominance for about a minute and a half before the Puma hits, which has of course locked in mobile defense. And because he lost his first 222, it kind of rules out the chance of going double 222s after that point. It's just not going to be effective. But if you don't lose your first 222 like that, you know, double 222s is a pretty valid way to fight with the A half track. It used to be like not so good, because once you killed the A half track and you had a 222 left over, the damage it could then do to infantry just wasn't sufficient. But that's not really the case since they changed to its machine gun. Much more damaging now. 50 cal sitting up in the building does pretty good damage to light vehicles, and you equip the armor piercing rounds as well. A half track has to pull back, took quite a bit of damage there. CreativeName now floating a little bit of manpower. Still hasn't got an ambulance. There it comes. A little bit late on that though. So from the amount he's floating, maybe he's going to go for a squad of rangers.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Down some sandbags on that fuel. 50 cows jumped out of the building, heading over in that direction to stop the cap.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Very interesting to see what CreativeName gets next. Will he go for weapon racks? Grenades. He's got a lot of munitions in the bank. Be a shame not to get some utility out of it. The half track being wheeled over to the other side. I feel like he hasn't got that much value out of this A half track, honestly. And now the Puma's about to hit the field. So that period of dominance I was talking about wasn't that severe. So Refero's actually held on pretty well during that period. And Puma heading straight for the A half track. We have a rifle squad here for some support. If he can get some... no, he's just going to let it die. There it goes. Maybe if he had still had his machine gun, you know, 50 cal can do decent damage to the Puma, or got weapon upgrades, had some bazookas on those rear echelon. The engagement could have gone a lot differently, but here goes the A half track. Also saw Refero call in some Ostroupen reserves. So he's going to have a lot beefier of an army, a lot more squads running around capping the map. And if CreativeName doesn't do something about this, he's threatened to get overwhelmed here. Got some bars now, so it's definitely going to help him. Help him in these infantry fights. TKL setting up long range, should be able to get some suppression going. Puma has been repaired. It's going to bring in, do a little bit of anti-infantry duties. We do have a bazooka on the rear echelons. And AT grenade goes in there. 50 cal rotates now to deal with these two squads. This one retreating a little bit late. Gonna have an old-fashioned 50 cal battle here. Trying to spread out his two squads as they approach the machine gun so they can't get the area of effect suppression going. The squad very late to retreat. That could be a wipe as they cross the road. Ooh, yeah, long range gets the kill. Late retreat there by Refero. Bit of an error. That's what CreativeName needed. He was really starting to hurt for territory control. But on the back of, you know, wiping out Refero's infantry squads, should be in a much better position. Refero certainly got LMGs on one of his squads so far. No tech for him either. He's going for rebuilding that grid he just lost.
The enemy is taking our territory.
The weapon upgrades. His forces having a much better time in these infantry engagements now. We're coming over to this side. Going to try to put some pressure on the riflemen capping over there. Bazookas on the other side of the map. And of course, CreativeName having gone for this commander and lieutenant, no access to an anti-tank gun. So his options dealing with the Puma, just not really there. Just has to grin and bear it. Luckily the Puma isn't like that lethal against infantry. Especially if he's trying to use it at this range, long range, where the machine gun's not firing. It's going to do almost no damage. And that has given time for the rear echelon with the bazooka to come around the side. Going to force that back for repairs once more. Even uses smoke there, which is interesting. Attack ground unsuccessful. Rifleman with the bars doing good damage. Oh no! 50 cal goes down. And CreativeName's rebuilt another one. Disaster in the middle. How did he let that happen? CreativeName's got to pay a bit more attention to his 50 cal preservation. Turning over two of those now. It's going to make his life very hard. He's gone for a mortar now, and I don't blame him. I think he kind of has to. He needs indirect fire now that he's going to be fighting his two of his own machine guns. And in comes the command tank, and CreativeName calls GG. So even though at this point the match was like reasonably even between these two, the arrival of the command tank, whereas CreativeName still had to tech up himself, it's just too much for him to bear, which is why this commander is so popular. You just don't have to get that stage of tier 3 tech And in these really like closely matched games, not having to spend what is it, 200 manpower and 90 fuel when you're in a super close match, it's just backbreaking for the opponent. Anyway, on to game number 2.